This is my story of the most haunted house in America and how it single-handedly ruined my birthday party and my social life. Brought to you from the same twisted studio that produced My Life with Lavinia Murdoch and me, this is the Peyton Randolph house.
This has been called the most haunted house in America.
Welcome.
Yo, here's your disclaimer.
House.
This one right here might be a little unsettling for some of y'all.
My birthday is October 25th. It was supposed to be October 31st, but they induced me early. So for whatever reason, it induced in me this weird obsession with spooky birthday parties. But this particular birthday party is what caused Colonial Williamsburg to change the trajectory of all of their ghost tours moving forward. So if you do visit and go on one and it's not that spooky, this is why. Near the Peyton Randolph house, there's this huge old oak tree. When we were younger, we all used to climb it and kiss boys and stuff. But one year, one of my friends and I were sitting up there, and there was this boy dressed like he was from Colonial Williamsburg. But, this wasn't that weird because there's tons, thousands of reenactors. So no questions asked, chatted with the kid, and then he just kind of, disappeared. Poof, gone. We were kind of where'd that kid go? He was kind of cute, whatever. So fall was coming up, which in turn meant so was my birthday. And came time for me to plan my party, and so I was like, yo, how cool would it be if we did one of those Colonial Williamsburg ghost tours, and everybody came and we got super spooked, and then, I don't know, eat pizza after or something. My friends and family were like, well, Nicole, other people might not like that. And I was like, well, I do. It's my birthday. Back then on the ghost tours, you didn't go inside any of these homes. That's because a lot of them people are living in, but not the Peyton Randolph house. But before you go inside, the tour guide gives you a little disclaimer. Something along the lines of if you're touched and no one's there, don't freak out. Stay close to the group. If you hear things, that's what you're paying for, so lock in, people. My friends are already kind of looking around I don't know about this, boss. But I'm everybody in. We go in the main room, and the history begins. Peyton Randolph was some prominent figure, president, Congress, I don't know, blah, 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 back in the 1600s. And considering the time frame, there was, I think, 20 to 30 enslaved people also living in this house with Peyton Randolph and his family. Legend has it that these enslaved people were super privy to the fact that this newly constructed house had been built on top of a Native American grave site. So they were already kind of bad vibes here, Peyton. Maybe we could just pick up shop, go somewhere else. He's like, nah, we're good. And then the house gets riddled with smallpox, kind of kickstarting the really bad vibes of Peyton and his family. As if there weren't already bad vibes, but the eternal bad vibes. Peyton has this brother, right? His name's John. John's like, hey, there's this war coming up, and they're saying it's going to be revolutionary or something. Who we taking? Because I think I'm going to take Britain. And Peyton's like, bro, what? The whole point of this war is so that we can have our own gig going on here, and you're going to take Britain? And John's like, yeah, I had a feeling you'd say that, so I'm going to go back. So John dips. And Peyton's left in Williamsburg kind of yo, this sucks, dude, because this made my family look really bad. So homie's like, I got to save face around here. And he decides to do his big one and turn the crib into a war hospital for the soldiers. The tour guide continues. She's like, yeah, floors soaked in blood. You could literally see the traces of the gurneys being pushed down the hallways, bodies everywhere. My friends and I are standing there looking at this lady kind of The family kicks the can. The wife and the kids and everybody's just one after the other. See ya. So through generations, the house gets passed down to somebody with the last name Peachy. Just Peachy, moving into the Peyton Randolph house. I guess that's where real terror begins. The Peachy situation is where things get a little muddy. The history gets burnt away, which I get. It's easy to lose important historical documents. NASA lost all the instructions on how to get to the moon. It could happen to any of us. But this Peachy family moves in, and they are just cursed. I'm talking every single person in this family gets yapped. But where it particularly pertains to me is the little boy that died by way of falling out of the tree out front. So my friend, who immediately whips her head at me and is like, please don't say anything, don't even bring it up, don't ask what his name is, please don't. What do? Excuse me, miss, are you talking about that tree up front that we all hang out in all the time, that I literally met a boy in the other day that was dressed like he was in colonial clothes and didn't have a home and kind of just disappeared in front of our eyes and we couldn't find him ever again? Tour guide stops in her tracks, looks me dead in the eyes and goes, "You've seen him too?" I'm like, I'd say we maybe lightly have seen him, but like this was like totally a kid. This wasn't a ghost. It was a kid. And the tour guide's like, "Well, good news. We have a picture of him upstairs." So we go upstairs, look at the picture on the wall. It's the freaking kid. But I'm trying to brush it off. I'm like, "That's not him. That's definitely not him." I'm looking at my friend. I'm like, "Yo, is that the kid?" She's like, "That's totally the kid. I'm out. You had to tell them. You had to freak everyone out. You made this about you. We're all out." So now everybody's out front of the Peyton Randolph house calling their moms, and I'm still inside looking at this painting like, because like I don't see ghosts. I don't think. So I'm like, all right, if we could keep this reeled in, I'm not going to freak anybody else out. We're so close to the pizza part, and I still got 5 friends to my names. But no, not on my mom's watch. If my kid's going to see something, I'm going to see something too. So tour guide's like, "You asked for it, lady. You're going to see that kid if you really want, but we're going to have to go outside to do it." I'm like, my mom's not climbing this tree. But the tour guide's like, "Nope, this is what usually happens. You tell everyone to take a picture of the house, and generally speaking, there will be an apparition in one of these windows." But I'm like, no. No. My mom's like, "Shut up, I'm paying for this tour." So we go outside. I'm like, all right. This is going to be about the end of my social life at 12 years old. And she starts snapping away. Looks down at the camera and is like, "Oh my God." I look at my mother and I'm like, show me a home. She's like, "Y'all, kid in the window." Because lo and behold, the boy who fell out of the tree and died had a sister who fell out of a window and died. And that was her in the picture. So everybody ate spiritually. Nobody ate pizza except for my mom's best friend's son. His mother forced him to stay. They felt bad. Everybody left. Honestly, I kind of felt like I was a big dog. I'm like, "Oh yeah, you guys can't handle the haunts, baby." But I still think about that house often. I'm no ghosty person that sees them and talks to them, but like, it is kind of weird. I don't know if it has anything to do with my birthday or my incredible imagination. But if you don't believe the things I just told you in this video, go book a tour and find out for yourself. Good night.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
It went to both.
Yeah.
What if I told you I had a dead twin brother my whole life? And I'm not talking about a dream, okay? I'm talking actual encounters. This story is gonna make you question everything you know about life, death, and everything in between, bitch, okay? Hold on tight, because this is gonna get real fast. I grew up surrounded by death, but the first one I really felt was my twin brother. Yes, I am a surviving twin. My brother has been with me throughout my whole life, but only I can see him, only I can talk to him, and only I can hear him. And I know that sounds crazy, but it only gets weirder, okay? Right before my mom miscarried my brother, her father passed away. 5 days later, my mom lost the baby. I was born, but I almost was not alive myself. I came into the world with blue, cracked skin, and I was barely breathing. The doctor said it was because I wasn't getting enough oxygen in the womb. And that is where I believe all of this started, okay? All right, now fast forward a bit. All right, I'm like 2 or 3 at this point. One day I walk up to my mom and I tell her, I have a brother. Now, at 2 or 3 years old, I did not know about my twin brother, okay? I was 2 or 3. What 2 or 3-year-old is gonna, like, understand that, okay? So I was not told about him yet. But when I told my mom that I had a brother, she froze. And she's like, describe him to me. I told her, his name is Cameron. He looks just like me, but he has curly hair. And he's a boy, Mom. Without missing a beat, my mom smiled And she said, yes, honey, you once did, and you still do. That's all she ever said about it, okay? But I kept playing with him growing up, okay? He was always there, and he was so real to me. But it wasn't just him. I had another friend, okay? A little girl named Carrie. Now, at this point, we were living in a haunted apartment complex, and what we didn't know is that there was a portal there. All right, hold on. Stay with me, okay? I know how this sounds, but stay with me. My dad and uncle went to fix something in the basement, and that is when this activity started. I thought Carrie was another little friend to me, okay? But my mom had a bad feeling about it. My mom kept warning me and my oldest sister to stay out of the basement, okay? And honestly, I thought Carrie was harmless. Spoiler alert. But one fateful night, everything fucking changed, bitch. I was there in my living room watching TV, and I heard the basement door creak open, bitch. Then all of a sudden I hear this voice. Are you ready to play? Hell no, I'm not. Hell no, I'm not. Of course I was curious, you know, as children are. And I figured if my mom was in the kitchen, it was safe, okay? I mean, my mom was right in the other room. What could go wrong? But that was a fucking mistake, okay? As soon as I went to the basement, the door slammed behind me, bitch. Wire chills on my legs. Oh, shit. And what came up those motherfucking stairs was not Carrie. It wasn't even a little girl, okay? What I saw was something out of a fucking nightmare. Was something out of a fucking horror movie. And this is something that still haunts me to this day, and I'm sure it always will, because why do I have chills talking about it right now? Stuff like this, bro. Why do I do this to myself? I don't even know how to describe this properly, but just think of the most terrifying, dark thing. It looked just like that. Just like that. And my little ass was like, fuck no. Turned around, I start banging on the door, and I am crying, pleading for my mom to let me the fuck out. When she finally opened the door, she grabbed my ass, slammed the door back shut. She knew it wasn't Carrie. She knew. I don't know why I tell stories like this in the dark. I live in the fucking sticks, bro. After that, shit got way worse, okay? Lies, random sicknesses, unexplained things were happening, okay? One time, I was thrown down the stairs by something I could not see. I remember telling my mom, Carrie did it. She knew it wasn't Carrie. Oh, my body! She knew it wasn't Carrie, bitch. My mom and my grandma tried everything to cleanse that apartment. Nothing at all. Nothing worked, okay? And eventually, we just moved and we got the fuck out of there. But get this. The family that moved into that apartment after us, the husband got sick, just like my sister, and he died. And that's just when we knew something was very wrong with this place. Fast forward to now. All right, I am 28 and I see spirits literally everywhere. And it's not just a random occurrence for me, it is a daily thing. I've also been through some crazy near-death experiences. In 2015, I almost died from a seizure. In 2017, I miscarried. When I miscarried, I lost so much blood that I just started seeing colors, and eventually that went white. Then nothing. I was gone. 2 minutes later, I woke up gasping for air. And I'm begging, like, at this point, please just take me. Just take me. I felt like I was in between two worlds. And honestly, it was just fucking terrifying. Now, I live in an apartment complex that was built on an 1800s cemetery. Now, these spirits, bitch, they were fucking relentless. They love to mess with everyone who lives here or has lived here or will live here, okay? They're gonna mess with everybody. Now, some of them I can help and some of them I can't. I have become so in tune with the dead that I can see them as they were before they died and sometimes after. They ask me for help crossing over, but I don't have the power to do that. And it's just really hard when they're begging you for help and you know you can't do anything for them. I mean, I love cemeteries, obviously, but I can't go inside of them because all of the voices are so overwhelming. The dead are constantly talking and it is a lot to handle. Sometimes I even feel them pass through me as if they've found peace. I'm just this veil between this world and the next. And it's so intense that sometimes I feel like I can't breathe for a few minutes and then everything goes back to normal. Being a bridge between the dead and the living is honestly so exhausting. It's like I'm the emotional, mental, physical path for these souls that need to cross over. But of course, not all of them find peace. Some are stuck, and that's when it gets, can you see? Some of them are stuck, and that's when it gets heavy. And the weight of all of it is just something I can't even put into words. And it's also a burden that only those that can experience it would understand. I know this sounds like out of this world and, oh, she's cuckoo, oh, she's this. Shut the fuck up, okay? This story was submitted to one of my new friends. On here, her name is Rose. I'm gonna tag her down below, so if you guys have experienced this or you need somebody to talk to, reach out to her. When she told me this, I had chills reading it just as much as I had chills making a story out of it. That's one thing I love. Like me, spooky season is all year round for me, okay? I love horror. I love scary shit. I love the paranormal, okay? I do. I can't help it. Something about it intrigues me. There are people who don't believe in the paranormal, okay? And if you don't, I think you're weird. And that's fine, because people who don't think people who do are weird. And that's fine. I'm a weirdo. I attract weirdos. It is what it is. You guys go check out Rose, follow her page, okay? And if you have questions, ask her. It makes me feel good that I make you guys feel comfortable enough to share these stories with me. And it just makes me feel good. And I love you guys so much for this. I'm off of here. Love you guys. Bye.
One of our creepy Storytime family members shared this story with me, and she said that anytime she has ever tried to tell anybody, nobody has believed her and they've made her feel so alone. Creepy story time. Now, this is a long one, so this is part 1. She said she'd like to remain anonymous, but she'll probably be checking the comments if you want to leave your input there. This story takes place a few years back when she was 16, just about to turn 17. She is 20 now. For the sake of the story, let's call her Natalie. Natalie had just started an ILS position, which if you don't know what that means, it's just somebody that works with people who have cognitive or physical disabilities. Natalie said that typically somebody at her age at the time would not have gotten a position like this, especially with the company it was for, but her mom worked at the office there and so did her mother's boyfriend. So she had a good word in, and she said she didn't even need to interview for the position. She said, so fast forward about a month and everything is going great. She absolutely loves her job. She adores all her clients. And one morning, one of her clients had to cancel the shift because of illness or something. So in order to keep her hours, she reported it and she was given another client for that day, someone she had never worked for before. Natalie read the specific documentation. For the story's sake, we'll call this girl Sarah. And she came to find out that Sarah has autism. So she arrives at Sarah's house, knocks on the door, and goes inside. She says that Sarah was very sweet, but she did note that something felt very off. She had matted hair, her clothes were stained and tattered, and she said there was a very strong smell of dead animal. So she said she nicely and briefly suggested that maybe they could work together to clean her up a little bit. And then she even went on to explain the importance of cleanliness so as to avoid sickness or infection. So Sarah just looks at Natalie dead in the face and says, "He won't let me." So Natalie's a little confused because nowhere on Sarah's documentation does it say that she lives with anybody. She is very independent and lives alone despite having autism. So Natalie asks Sarah, "What do you mean by that?" And Sarah just shrugs her shoulders. Natalie asks Sarah one more time, and Sarah just turns away from her and goes over and sits at the dining room table where there are some art supplies sitting there. So Sarah begins to draw, and Natalie stands up and walks across to go over to her in the dining room, and she said that when she passed the living room, she noticed a very tall, had to be about 6 foot, old-looking full-length mirror. She said she remembers these details about it, like streaks running down it and cracks around the upper edge, probably because she said it made her feel very unsettled. So Natalie says she sits down at this table and her back is directly facing the mirror. And when she turns around, she can see into the mirror. She sees her own reflection, and she can also see a little bit into the living room. So they're sitting there in silence for a little, and then Natalie tries to strike up some kind of conversation, asking her basic questions like, what are you into? What are your hobbies? Sarah does not give her very much to go on. She answers her with a few one-word answers, and then the rest of the time she's just shrugging her shoulders again. Natalie totally understands that with autism, it's hard to socialize, especially with new people, so she just decides to let it be. So about 30 minutes have gone by, and Natalie is trying to come up with things to talk about, so she's complimenting her drawings. But again, Sarah didn't really say much. Then, all of a sudden, the temperature in the room dropped. She said it felt like all the windows were open on a cold winter day, and none of the windows were open. She asked Sarah, hey, do you want me to turn on the heat since it's so cold in here? And Sarah replied, I need it cold. Natalie was like, all right, and she left it at that. Then Natalie notices Sarah aggressively flips the page in her drawing book and starts scribbling down an image, and it starts to look like she's drawing a cross. Natalie almost wanted to ask her if she was religious, but she knew that would be inappropriate to ask, and she didn't want her to feel uncomfortable, so she just asked, what are you drawing? Sarah just smiled wide without looking up and just replied, it's a cross. But Natalie noticed that Sarah drew it upside down. So Natalie said, I think you might have it drawn the wrong way. See, like this. And she holds up her necklace that she was wearing of a cross. Sarah looks up and her face drops. And she just says, you shouldn't have that in here. Natalie asks, why not? And then she replies, he doesn't like it. And then she went back to drawing. So at this point, Natalie's getting pretty freaked out. And then she says the coldness in the room drops even more. It's just getting worse and worse. And she's starting to think, I brought a jacket with me. Did I bring it from the car? Did I put it in the living room? So she turns around to look into the mirror to see if she can kind of see it sitting in the living room. When she turns around and looks in the mirror, she sees her own reflection, and she says she can see Sarah's hand sticking out from behind her, still scribbling away on the paper. And then Natalie says all of a sudden she just got this overwhelming sense of dread, just this horrible feeling like something bad is going to happen. And she's still looking in the mirror, watching Sarah's hand scribble, and then all of a sudden she stops and just sits there still. Natalie is frozen in fear. She just has this intense feeling like somebody's watching her. She says in that moment, she also felt breath hit her on the back of the head, and it even fluttered her hair. She spun around so fast, and she was face to face with Sarah, so close Sarah's nose was almost touching hers. She swore that she was able to see everything in the mirror, and she would have seen if Sarah was getting up out of her seat to move close to her. Her hand was still on the table. She said she would not have had enough time to get that close to her without her seeing her move in the mirror. Natalie recoiled back, and Sarah kept leaning forward. Natalie kind of put her hand on her chest and then tried to jokingly say, oh, you scared me. Sarah now leaned back a little bit and then just looked at her and gave her the biggest grin. And she said it looked super unusual, almost like it hurt. And then she looked up and past her, and immediately her face dropped, and she said, he doesn't like you. Okay, this is getting kind of long, so I'm going to make a part 2 and finish up the story. Keep an eye out.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
Storytime on how a man followed me home, part 1. And it was the last day of school to go into the summer holidays. So me and my friends all decided that we'd go to the shopping centre that was most local to us. So me and my friends done our shopping, went to Primark, went to Poundland, went to Flying Tiger, like the usual shops we normally go in. And it got not too late but late. My phone had died and I was not responding to my mum because I knew she wanted me home and we were going on holiday a few days later. Anyway, so my mum's calling all of my friends, constantly calling. I am not picking up because I want to be out with my mates on the last day of school and she was not allowing me to go out on my last day of school because she wanted me home to sort my suitcase out and sort all my clothes out and what clothes I wanted to bring and what clothes I didn't want to bring. But I was like, I'm going out with my friends today. And I was a little rebel. So it was around 8, 9 o'clock, and me and my friends decided we were going to leave. My mum's still ringing my friends constantly, but I thought I'm going home anyway. I'm not going to answer. I'm just going to go straight home. Besides all that, me and my friends live in completely different areas. I go to school where they live, because I used to live around there, and they live about an hour and a half away from me. But from where the shopping centre we were at, it would take me about 45 minutes to get home. So I dropped my friends to the bus stop, and whatever, I went to the train station because the train station was very close by to the bus stops. So I've gone to the bus stops, dropped them off, went to the train station, and because sometimes the trains go funny, like from where I live, the train I had got on said it was going to the place I live, but it wasn't actually going there. So I'm sitting on this train. It was quite a fast train, not many people were on it. It was starting to get later and later and later and later, and this man comes up to me. He asked me what the time was, but my phone was dead. I said my phone was dead, and he was like, show me, show me, show me. So I turned my phone around and showed him. And then he asked me, am I here on my own? And I was like, what are you on about? And I was like, no, I'm meeting my mum at the train station. Because why is this man talking to me? So anyway, carried on my journey. I'm sitting on the train. He's walking up and down the train, up and down the train. And bear in mind, there's no people on my carriage. Like, there was literally no one on this train besides a few little people who were getting on here and there. But none of them were on my particular carriage. Anyway, so the man and me are on the train, and he keeps walking up and down, up and down. He's not like a train guard or anything. He's like some random man, bit off looking, but he wasn't like, oh, I should be concerned. Like, why is this man, whatever. But the way he was walking up and down did scare me, and I was like, what the hell? He's just asked for what the time is, and he's walking up and down. What is he doing? So I got up and I started walking to the next carriage because I needed to anyway. Because where I walked down the carriage, so I get off closer to the walkway to go home, if you know what I mean. So I don't go at the other end of the train station. And I'm sitting there for about 3 minutes, and this man has started walking down. He was like, oh, I thought you got off. I didn't know. I was wondering where you went. And I was like, okay, this is now weird. I'm trying to turn my phone on. You know, you turn your phone on and the apple comes up and it's not turning on. It's not giving me 1% battery, and I'm regretting not calling my mum or my friend's phone and saying I'm on my way home. There was someone in this carriage. I don't know who they were, but I'm so grateful. They let me use their phone, and I was like, can I call my mum, please? Because I remember my mum's phone number off by heart. Put her phone number, and I called her, and she was like, where are you? Like, shouting at me, whatever. And I was like, I'm on the train. And can you meet me at the train station? I'm about 4 stops away, because the train was going for all these stops that normally goes through, but which I didn't know it wasn't going to my stop. So the train keeps going and going. I'm thinking, why is it taking so long? Like I've gone past like where I'm not going to the stops it normally goes to now. So I end up in Reading. And when I was at the train station, there was a guard saying that this train goes to where I need to go. Like I had asked him. And so I'm on this train, and loads of people had got off at Reading, and they were like, where are we? Like, what? We were supposed to end up here, and we're not even here. And this man's like trying to guide everyone, but this man who was on the train asking me for the time also got off, and he was just like standing there, like kind of just watching me a little bit, like kind of freaked me out. So I was just trying to speak to this train station guard person quite a lot. So we had to go over to, like, everyone had to go over to the next platform, or the people who were going the same direction as me. So we walked over the platform, and I'm sitting there, waiting, like, the next train. It said it was like 6-8 minutes, I can't actually remember. So I'm sitting there, waiting for the train, and the man, so there's like 4 seats, I'm sitting on, like, the very end, and the man's sitting, so there's space here, and the man's sitting here, and there's one more chair there. But yeah. But what the train I was about to get on didn't go to the train station I was supposed to be, where my house is, so it was a train station quite nearby, but the train that I needed to get on to go to that place was like out, like really, really long, and it was just easier for me to get a train and then get a bus to my house, because the train that's supposed to go to my house was ages, like absolutely ages. Right guys, I do not have enough time left, so come back for part 2.